there were some concerns about President Biden's popularity with the core pieces of the Democratic base, including progressives, young people, some of whom you've really reached in your campaign.
Here, this is what I want to hear here, that I saw a clip of this going around. So asking him about the angst within our party coming from further left and the young people.
Does this message need to be to them to make sure they come out for him this November and don't opt to stay home or find a third-party candidate?
Well, I think the president has done an incredible job as well too, and by any metric now, the president has been incredibly strong as well too now. And if you are talking about young progressives, it's like literally yesterday he now is canceling more student debt as well too. And now you have in Alabama. Now you have embryos now having called real beings as well too. I mean, look at the kinds of things. This election is always about two very stark choices as well, and that's the kind of thing I talked about in Reno as well too. It's like we have a major choice in our America, what we want to be for the next 4 years as well too. And Joe Biden has done an incredibly tough job as well too. And now, I can't imagine why that Trump is competitive, but he is, and now he can't be canceled now by anybody at this point. So now there's only one person. I believe there's only one person now that can beat Trump, and that's Joe Biden, because right now he's the only person in America that actually has beaten Trump in a powerless election.
That's true. Yeah.
So Fetterman referencing the 150,000 student loans that were canceled yesterday by the Biden administration through the SAVE Act or executive order. These were people who had less than, I think, $12,000 initially that they've been paying off for 10 years. And it was something like $1.2 billion of loans, something like that. I mean, that's a huge thing for a lot of people. These are people who probably, I imagine, with only $12,000, they did not graduate from college, but they have the burden of some loans. Can you imagine? They don't have the earning power that would come with a degree, but they have some student loans holding them back, paying these loans back forever. And then all of a sudden you get an email saying, you're good. Continue with your life, soldier. I mean, that's got to be huge. And I think we'll start to see more of those stories come out so that it's not just numbers, but we put a story to the action by Biden. And I think that's how Biden's going to run his campaign. We've already seen him do that by visiting some families impacted by student loan forgiveness. But I think that's the strategy for this election. You put a face to the policy. Hey, let's go to this community and talk about the new bridge that was built and show somebody tell their story about how they used to sit in traffic for an hour and now they fly right through, and this has allowed them to be home for dinner early and see their kids growing up. Or let's go to the dinner table with a family who had their student loans forgiven and show how this single dad is raising his kids and he's been underwater with these student loans for years and now he can start saving up for a house or whatever. Like, let's put a face to this policy. Remember when Republicans pushed Plumber Joe fake story? I remember Plumber Joe. Hope there was a footnote on those emails. New vote for Biden. Well, I think it goes without saying. I don't know about you guys, but if somebody changed my life like that, I would remember, that's for sure. And I know that there's going to be people who act a fool and will go out there and say, so what? I don't care if he forgave my student loans. I'm still not voting for him. For every one of those people, there's probably 100 people out there who are staying quiet that are very happy and are now dutiful. Or I shouldn't say dutiful. They are now excited to help Joe Biden get reelected. So you got to kind of look around, make sure you're not one guide by the haters out there, right? There's always a bunch of silent people out there that are just kind of happy and going to do the right thing, I guess you could say. Fetterman is sounding really good. He's okay. Yeah. I mean, he could be better, but poor guy has a long road of recovery. But yeah, he's improved a hell of a lot. And the fact that he's even willing to go on TV and do a live interview like this shows that he's doing much, much better. I love the image that he has here with the hoodie and the brick wall behind him. I think it's a great face for the Democratic Party. That's really important for us to get out there. Do you think a lot of those people are centrist or right-wingers, though? I feel like most educated people are liberal left-wing. Who? the people who are getting their loans forgiven, they're probably working class people who don't have a degree because they only took out $12,000 or $1 or less and been paying it back for 10 years. So I don't think it's going to make them all go out there and vote for Biden, but it's another push towards supporting the left. Hey, look, we're the one who actually changed your life. I mean, when the government gave out stimulus checks in the pandemic, that was huge. That was a game changer for a lot of people. They never seen that kind of money. Imagine living paycheck to paycheck. You cannot afford a $400 emergency, and then all of a sudden you're given $2,000. Most people did the right thing with that and paid down debt or put it away in savings. Of course, we heard about some horror stories, but for the most part, people did the right thing. And that was a game changer. Like the Paycheck Protection Program, the PPP loans, that was a game changer for a lot of small businesses who were able to change their trajectory. And a lot of people changed the trajectory of their lives on those stimulus checks and the PPP loans, etc. So getting $10,000, $12,000 of student loans forgiven is probably even more of a game changer for some people. And I think they remember that, because it's not that it translates directly to voting for Democrats, but it restores faith in government. I think it makes people hopeful that the government can actually do something good and improve their lives. Whereas there's a lot of people out there who feel that the government never does anything right and it's never done anything for them and they've never benefited from it. They don't see how government helps them, and so they have no faith in it. And they're susceptible to people like Donald Trump coming along and saying we should gut the whole federal government. People like Vivek Ramaswamy saying destroy the administrative state, and I'm going to cut 75% of federal jobs, right? They're susceptible to that reasoning when they have no faith in the federal government. So I feel actions like forgiving student loans help rebuild that trust.
What is the most important issue facing them? What do you hear the most from them as we move into this incredibly important election? What's the issue that you keep hearing about?
Again, I think the most important issue is like, what do we want for this state and what we want for this nation? And what we want kind of a world order is as well, too. And it's going to be very competitive as well, too. And the president is going to win here in Pennsylvania. And I've always believed that whoever wins Pennsylvania is going to be the next president as well, too. And this is going to be, it's going to be difficult. And we all have to lean in on that. And we also have to start having, all kinds of Democrats criticizing the president, too, publicly. I don't understand why. I don't know what's in it for you to do that, whether you're just chasing clout or you want to make it in the news or anything like that. But if you're not willing to just support the president now and say these kinds of things, you might as well just get your MAGA hat, because you now are helping Trump at this.
That was a clip going around, too, right there. Might as well just rock a MAGA hat because you're helping Trump get elected. I'm sure people would disagree and say, well, we should be critical of our leaders and we should let them know when we're unhappy. I'm okay with that. But when you say I'm withholding my vote, you are helping Donald Trump. What are you doing? You're weighing in on the election and saying, I'm not going to vote for Biden. You might as well say I'm voting for Trump. And they'll say, no, that's not my problem. Biden needs to win me. I think it's just a very juvenile approach, very immature approach to our politics and government. I think there's more creative ways to protest than to say, I'm not going to vote for you, right? Because first of all, these elected officials know you're full of shit. 95% of the people who stand up now and say, I'm not voting for Biden will do just that when push comes to shove. So they know that already. So it's kind of a useless thing to do. And people seem to feel so good about it when they do it. Like they feel so proud of themselves, as if it's going to make the party bend the knee and come begging for their vote or something, right? But whenever I see people stand up this far out from the election and say, I'm not voting for Biden, I just cringe so hard, because I know, again, most of them will, but also it just shows how ineffective they are and how little they know about how to enact change. Yeah, Biden has to earn my vote. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no risk at all, and it's just completely useless thing to do. And I just encourage people to find other ways to enact change. And there are them out. They are out there.
I'm not voting for Chuck Schumer in 6 years.
Exactly. I'm not doing something a long time in the future, even though I have no idea what I'm going to be exposed to and what the situation's going to be. And my history says otherwise. Like, okay, dude. Got it. We're very intimidated by it. So, but it just causes problems. It just causes grief and just makes Joe Biden's life more miserable. And so if that's your goal and you just want to cause problems for Democrats, then go ahead. But I don't think most of these people want that. They think that this is the way to get change. And to me, it's just a desperate attempt. It's just, you have no other options. You don't know how it works. You don't know how any of the system is. Like, I would rather people come pay attention to politics and watch C-SPAN and learn about how your government works and learn about how politics works and what trading needs to take place and what deals and where your energy can be most effectively invested. Right? Maybe you stop crying about Joe Biden winning the presidency in 2024 and focus on a state house race in your district that's really close that you could have a huge influence on if you just volunteered, because the difference between your guy winning, a Democrat winning and then controlling the state house and not is maybe a handful of volunteers going out there and knocking doors for a couple of weekends, right? But instead, you want to sit on the internet and bitch and moan about, I'm not voting for Biden in 9 months, as if that's going to enact the change that you want to see. Whereas there's a much more realistic and actionable way for you to get some progress made on the issues you care about.